Now, I always find fascinating how many people like to compare the Lich King and the Nowhere King. Even that the characters have maybe one, maybe two, even I want to stretch it, even three things similarity to each other, but yet they're so different, especially how been they used in their own proper IP, and also how they got the abilities or the reason why they doing it is so completely different that it's sort of hard to compare them if you know why they're so different. But yet I can see why people like to compare both characters because how they design and what they're supposed to do. Because you go side to side, you thinking, wait a minute, the Nowhere King feels like a ripper of the Lich King. In a way, not really, but I can see it for your point of view if you do, because how the Nowhere King looks sort of similar to the Lich King, but they just sort of the same category or same archetype of what they're supposed to do on their own universe. That is sort of destroy the whole world. But even that, that's the only kind of similar they have. Even that you want to click their design, how similar, but even that, the design they chose for each single character is for a purpose and reason, not to copy the other one. Is because their design sort of complement the story. That's why it feels a little bit similar, but yet so different. Now, before I break it down, my name is Rachel. I like to talk about animation, not just animation through reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories, or sometimes, if I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, you like how it's going, like to help my channel, put a like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only thing you need to do. If not, that's fine. If you do, thank you. Because of you, I'm getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. And yes, I'm getting close every single day because of people like you. People put like, comment, and share. Thank you. Now let's break down of the similarities but yet differences of the Lich King and the Nowhere King. Now let's get started. Now, to fully understand and break down the characters, let's talk about the character design and sort of reason why they chose that sort of design. Now, the Lich King is sort of the beginning of time, or even more than that, because nobody knows how old the Lich King really is. Even that the Adventure Time does sort of explore a couple of times who he used to be, you realize he's sort of the element of destruction of destroying everything else. Even that it changes every single time you reintroduce the Lich King. He is sort of the death of destruction and rebirth of self-identity of yourself, but you have to always kind of go like a process, redo the whole thing again and again. And that's sort of what's the whole point of the Lich King. You don't really know who he's supposed to be, just destruction. In fact, his whole motivation is in fact another type of god who motivated him to destroy the world. But when he meet that god, he realized he kind of wastes his whole life doing the same thing as the other one, because the other god didn't do it because he wanted to. It's because his sort of a calling. That's he's a basically a titan, an element. That's what he does. He doesn't have a personality. To the Lich King, he is a god who's sort of confused and not sure what he's supposed to do. And that's what makes the Lich King kind of unpredictable and scary for so many people, because you don't realize what he could be his next step, who his next victim, or why, or what reason. And that's what made him sort of kind of fascinating. On top of this, his own kind of clothes he wears, that sort of kind of like maybe monk, druid, who party in part of nature, almost death decaying. That describe him how old and dangerous and hollow he really is as a character. But to compare to the Nowhere King is completely opposite, because the Nowhere King, you honestly don't know much at the very beginning. He has a beginning, but you introduce him with the song of the Nowhere King. And that song, it is kind of disturbing. I highly recommend it looking online on YouTube and you hear the lullaby song. It's something that's just sort of creepy, presence, but for a reason. It's because you find out the Nowhere King is sort of the best way to describe his own name. He's no one. He is a character who supposed to be two people, or one person who was the body as two people. In other words, one is the Nowhere King and the other one is the king of the other side of the world, because in the Santa world universe they have a sort of a bridge of the human world and the Santa world, and the Nowhere King belongs to the Santa world. But the only problem is when he starts seeing human people, he started to be sort of envious or not sure who you're supposed to be, especially he's starting to fall in love with a human woman. But the only problem is he kind of rejects who he is, because how he sees in the mirror, how he sort of despises himself. He wasn't human, and that's the thing. He irked him so much that he decided to do something very questionable. He decided to kind of break up to two people using sort of very questionable sort of science and magic to able to divide himself, becoming the king of Earth. He also the Nowhere King of Santa world. This is the reason why the Nowhere King looks sort of kind of gooey, almost bug-like, almost like a fly-ish with an antler sort of head, because he used to be sort of kind of like a centaur antler or horse-ish, but it always describes how the character feel. The reason why he hates himself, because he's a centaur. He's sort of self-loathing. This is the reason why he looks like sort of goo, but not really having a full body. That's trying to define himself, but he doesn't know how to. He decides to basically destroy everything around him, becoming sort of kind of god of destruction in a way. But that's not the disturbing part, because he human half who lives in the human world became the king and played out his sort of fantasy becoming human. What I mean is he started a war with the Nowhere King to make his fantasy come true, pretending to be becoming a human, pretending becoming a good person, even that he's the one who started the war, even that he's the one who kind of created this sort of soldiers hybrid of monsters, who the only way to create it is sort of sacrifice human people and centaur people, infuse them to be sort of monsters or Frankenstein soldiers to fight of his sort of pretend war against humans and monsters. That's how kind of evil the Nowhere King really is, because how he kind of hate himself, how self-loathing. The only way he be happy is sort of destroy everybody's own life nowadays. Even that he probably is not intentional, not realizing he made this, even he pretending, oh, if I destroy the Nowhere King, he can still be happy. Ironically, the twist is he cannot destroy the other half. If he does, he dies also. So he has to play around King for the rest of his life till he actually finally dies. Of basically this sort of war with never ending till every single being actually dies. And this is what I mean, he kind of is a god of destruction in a way. But this is what people sort of don't understand, because the Lich King is all about destruction, because that's what he wants to do. He want to emanate with a different god till he realize, wait, I'm not him. But at the same time, he also is god of life, because he keep recycling death in life again and again, sort of re-understanding who he is. But at the same time, he can never die. If he does, someone needs to take his place, because he always has to be a Lich King. Now, to compare to the Nowhere King, the Nowhere King doesn't have a purpose only for himself, to play king, to play death, to play war, because that's his fantasy. It's sort of selfishness that you can't stop. He's just evil, not sort of godlike, but he does have godly abilities to give death, because he want to play God now, or play human. And that's the huge difference of the Lich King and the Nowhere King. The Lich King is all about he has to be there, always changing, because he is death. And the Nowhere King is someone who wants to become sort of human, pretend to be something, but he's not. He's playing with something that he doesn't understand. That's the huge difference of the Lich King and also the Nowhere King. Now that's all I can say. Fact, I'm wondering if did I miss anything you think I need to clear up. Tell me down below. Let me know. And I have to say, pretty much that's all the differences and the similarities of both characters. I did enjoy how this sort of idea became. Also, I enjoy how people try to compare or who will beat the other one. If you want to know my opinion, who beat the other one will be honestly the Lich King, because the Nowhere King, it is powerful, but he's just sort of mixed soldiers. He doesn't really become death, in other words. And the Lich King, it is death. Just to give you my opinion of who will win as a fight. But other than that, that's all I can say. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.